5 men's fragrances to gain confidence instantly. So I've collected a few fragrance options here. Most of them are relatively heavy, some are a little bit lighter, but definitely they're very confident, very luxurious, solid, masculine options. And as always, all the fragrances that I mentioned will be available in the Amazon associate links in the description below. I'm going to start with one that I don't think gets enough attention, which is Ambre Sultan from Serge Lutens. Focus. This is pure resin. If you like resins, amber, myrrh, frankincense, that sort of thing, you're going to like this because that's all this is. It has some myrtle, I believe, as well, but for the most part, this is pure resin. Definitely not for everybody because it's really strong. There is 0% sweetness in this fragrance. It's actually almost kind of a dry type of fragrance for that reason, but at the same time, the kind of balsamic, resinous nature is very thick and heavy. And it's smoky without having any official smoke notes. Mainly because, resins are very closely associated with kind of incense and things like that. But this is a pretty exotic smelling fragrance. It is actually unisex, but it's definitely almost purely masculine. Pretty natural smelling as well. But again, you do have to make sure that you really enjoy resinous scents because that's all that this is. It's definitely more of an evening fragrance, I would say, or a cold weather fragrance. You would not want to wear this in hot weather just because it's already a very hot, smoldering scent as it is. Especially not in humid weather. That would ruin the kind of beauty of this fragrance. But in cold, crisp weather, or just for the evening, this would be a very good option. It's a little bit more on the formal side in terms of how it smells, but at the same time, it is kind of on the rugged side as well. So it is relatively versatile, not super versatile. You kind of have to experiment with it and figure out when it shines the best. But longevity on this as well is pretty good. It's about 7 hours, so pretty good performer. But moving on to the next one, which is actually similar but way stronger. This is Tabac Color from Dior. This is similarly smoky and smoldering and heavy, but the main note here obviously is the tobacco. And what Dior is able to do here with this particular fragrance is create a very strong but also very smooth and agreeable type of tobacco, because sometimes tobacco fragrances are way too strong and just too much, but they manage to keep it nice and balanced with this one, so it's not gonna give you a headache or anything unless you put on too much, because it is a relatively strong fragrance. Not extremely strong, but definitely like an 8 out of 10 on the strength scale. It's very sophisticated, it's not obnoxious. It kind of very easily wafts around a room, has a great scent trail. It will follow you for at least 8 hours. This is a very long-lasting fragrance. And this is another one where you have to be kind of particular about it. You definitely want to make sure that you like tobacco notes and just smoky fragrances in general. This is another one also that has no sweetness, really. It's on the drier side, very more of a mature type of fragrance, definitely not like a fun, bubbly type of fragrance, more like serious, but also very luxurious, sophisticated, and masculine. Then, moving on from this one to a classic, I would say. Most people would agree this is a classic. Green Irish Tweed from Creed. This is definitely a good option if you want to go for a very luxurious, top shelf option. But at the same time, you don't want to wear something heavy. Green Irish Tweed manages to accomplish that very easily. It's actually a pretty light to moderate fragrance with some violet, lemon verbena, I think there's iris in it actually, which are all, they're floral. But it's grounded by some heavier notes like ambergris, which is a type of pretty heavy musk. So it manages to be very refreshing, a little bit musky, and quite masculine without being way over the top. This is really more of a subtle confidence sort of fragrance. You know, it's not for showing off, it's to just kind of be. And it's definitely a very sophisticated, gentlemanly fragrance. A lot of people say, and I think this is just a rumor because it wouldn't make much sense, that it was made for Cary Grant in the 80s, but again, probably just a rumor. But for the most part, this, if it had come out earlier, this probably would be something that Cary Grant would wear, because it is, again, very an elegant male fragrance. If you want to go for something especially light and fresh, then I would say Xerjoff 40 Knots. This is a marine oceanic fragrance, but also extremely luxurious, and actually pretty prominent for an aquatic fragrance, because usually aquatic fragrances, marine fragrances, they don't last very long, they're very faint, but this one manages to break the mold a little bit, and it is longer lasting, and it is more noticeable. It's still pretty light, but just more noticeable than your typical aquatic fragrance. It has some nice sea salt notes, some nice citrus notes, some relatively good projection for what it is. And again, it definitely has that kind of rich vibe about it. You can imagine yourself kind of sunbathing on a yacht somewhere, you know? But definitely a good option if you want to go for something light, fresh, and especially something with aquatic notes. So this would definitely fit the bill. Then, the last one that I have is something, you know, if you really, really want a luxurious option, which is this Cashmere Musk from Clive Christian. So this is kind of in line with the luxury of Creed fragrances, if not a little more luxurious. I mean, as the name suggests, it's kind of a cashmere and musk type of fragrance. It is strong, but I wouldn't say it's any stronger than, you know, say Green Iris Tweed, maybe a little bit stronger, but it's, again, one of those that has a certain presence to it without going overboard and becoming obnoxious. Definitely very sophisticated, collected, more on the mature side, definitely more on the formal side. You would wear this almost exclusively for, you know, more special occasions. Kind of more of an evening wear sort of thing as well, or cold weather, but very warm, smooth, kind of toasty, a little bit musky, a little bit woodsy, but in general just a very kind of classic masculine type of scent. I could picture someone in the 1950s wearing this if it had existed back then. You know, just a very solid, gentlemanly sort of fragrance. But longevity as well is about, I would say, 6 to 7 hours. Nothing crazy, but it will last a good amount of time. But that is pretty much my my video here. And if you enjoyed it, of course, you could always leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos like these throughout the week, so stick around for those.